How's it going? Mr. Cinema Junkie here. I just saw your video on what we would do on a zombie apocalypse. This is something that's weighed on my mind for a long, long time. And the thing is that although, as you said, there's no way to reanimate a body, and if the body was reanimated, it would depend on the condition of the skeleton and such. Um, let's just add a little more to that equation and say that it's not a reanimated body, but say it's a diseased body like 28 days later, where everybody was calling them zombies anyway. But let's think, we're like one bird flu pandemic away from everybody just losing their minds and turning into savage beasts in the streets. What if that were to happen? It'd be zombie-like, probably be able to be killed and not come back to life, sure, but there's always that chance of mobs of enraged, cannibalistic, homicidal maniacs to start roaming the streets at any given time. I'd say that's about as close to a zombie apocalypse as I'd want to get, and it would be real. So I'm a supporter in believing that something like that can happen. Now, what would I do? Okay, is it absolutely necessary for me to leave my house? It probably will be eventually. The house I live in right now, not the most secure house in the world. Although the windows on that side of my house are up above ground and not able to be reached without a ladder, the ones behind me are street level and very easy to be reached. I don't have the means to nail stuff over every window and block off every door, so I do have a basement, I do have an attic, but just a matter of time for people to get in there. So in time, I would have to leave. I'm kind of on the fence as to whether there's strength in numbers or if I'm better off on my own. If I'm surrounded by a group, I think I'd want a small group to help fight them off. But then if I have to start worrying about what everybody else is doing and are they keeping up, and then arguments break out in the crowd, and there's always one person that wants to be the leader, or too many, as the saying goes, too many chiefs and not enough Indians, then I don't know, it could be a hindrance. But basically, what I would want to do is arm myself with a melee weapon. That would be either a good club or a bat, a bludgeoning type weapon, a hammer, something heavy and solid, but not so heavy that I can't swing it freely. Something that doesn't like wear me out in using it. One weapon that people talk about is the machete. Now, the machete, we use these for weeds out back, but a machete is okay. The thing is that these are not designed to attack human beings. And the reason I'm saying that is because, yes, of course you can attack somebody with this. The thing is that if I take this blade, you see how flat this blade is, and I bring it down on somebody's head for a destructive blow to the head, I may get away with that, but at the same time, what could happen is that this can get wedged in the skull and create like a vacuum because there's no air getting in there, and it will get stuck. That's why some of the older swords that you see, the combat knight swords, have what's called a blood groove. It goes down the length of the blade. It's to allow air to get in there so you can pull it out of the body. So the only good thing about a machete is that, yes, it's sharp. It's a multi-tool if you need to hack into something or hack through something. Plus, the other edge, which isn't sharp, can also be used as a bludgeoning weapon. The handle isn't really multi-designed. You have to pretty much hold it like this for a comfortable grip, but there's no reason you can't turn it around and hold it like this if you had to. But for my money, a good bat, a good solid baseball bat. Aluminum may be okay, but a good wood one is probably better. So I would use that first off. The thing with firearms are always good to have, but they're only as good as the person using it, and they're really only effective if you have the ammo for it. If you have 2 clips two magazines full of ammo. On the average, you have about 14 shots per magazine. You've got 28 bullets. 28 bullets between you and survival. Hopefully you're somebody who stocks up on ammo. But then again, if you overuse a weapon, it overheats, the barrel warps, it's no good anymore. If all you're counting on is that weapon to survive on, you're going to find yourself in a pinch eventually. So as far as weapons go, it's always good to have a backup so you can let one of them cool down, rest, whatever. Then the question of what type of weapon. Well, for me, if I was to carry firearms, it would have to be a shotgun, because in a crowd situation you want crowd control. So a shotgun is definitely in order. The more shells it carries, the better. So an extended magazine carry 8 shots instead of just 6. And any little bit helps. Then you want a backup weapon, something you can go to in case you can't reload right away. For that, I would carry a 40 caliber automatic, because the 40 caliber has the best of both worlds when it comes to takedown and accuracy. The 9mm doesn't have great takedown power, but it has awesome accuracy. Whereas the 45 has awesome takedown power, but the accuracy suffers. The 40 kind of melded those two together, and a 40 cal has great accuracy and decent takedown power. So I would definitely want a 40 cal backup. I know some people go for the magnums and stuff. The thing is, magnum weapons can wear you out. And in closed areas, you don't want to set off a magnum round because you may do yourself harm. The shockwaves from that might harm you, breaking blood vessels in your nose, popping your eardrums out. And in a situation where you're out in the open, you're definitely going to want to keep 2 things, well, more than that, not just 2 things, but right off the top of my head, 2 or 3 things that are the most important things: your vision, hearing, and your feet. If you're traveling by foot, you're going to want to keep your feet in order. You need to hear things around you. You need to be able to see what's going on around you too. So you want to keep all those things guarded. So setting off a magnum round in a closed area might pop out your eardrums and cause you to go temporarily deaf for a while, which is not good. You mentioned vehicles. Well, vehicles are good to get you from point A to point B in a hurry, but you want to have a destination in mind, because if you're driving around haphazardly, then there's every chance of getting caught in a situation you don't want to get caught in. What type of what type of vehicle would I want? Something that can cross between fast and solid. Sports cars are not solid. They get picked apart like soda cans. Whereas a big van, which is a little more sturdy, probably isn't as fast. So I'd probably want something like an SUV, maybe a pickup truck. Something that isn't going to flip me over if I try to take a corner. But that's the big risk on those things, is that they're kind of high off, so your point of gravity is a little centered. It's not as centered, and you can flip over on tight turns. You got to be real careful with those. Where would I go? You want to go someplace they can't get to, which is usually above ground. If you've seen Dawn of the Dead, you saw they had roof access, and none of the zombies were getting up there. And that's always a good thing, until they found the ladder and were able to climb up the ladder. But if they can't get to you, then you have nothing to worry about. So where do you go? Well, I often thought that if I went to a Walmart, which has pretty much everything I would need to survive, they have ammo, they have food, they have water, they have everything there. Even in a power outage, yes, there'll be some spoilage, there'll be some things going bad, but you have plenty of canned goods and stuff to kind of last for a while. As long as I have roof access, no problem. No problem, as long as I'm the only one who has access to that roof. Also, most Walmarts, from what I've seen, have the steel shutters in the front. So if push came to shove, you can put the shutters down and kind of block everybody out. So yeah, I'd probably want to hole up someplace like that had kind of a multi-purpose. If I couldn't get to something like that, then I would take whatever supplies I had, whatever weapons I had, and hightail it to the nearest warehouse or factory, I guess, because most of those places have steel doors that I can lock and keep people out of. And I would forage. I would forage for things, everything from food to weapons, because you never know who you're going to meet along the way. If you wanted to, if you want to help somebody out and keep them as part of your little group, your survival group, that's fine. But you don't want anybody that's not going to serve a purpose. So if you meet this person who's lost and alone and is scared and whatever, you're like, okay, man, we'll take care of you. But here, put a gun in their hand and say, you got point, or you got to watch the back, or whatever. Everybody has a job to do. So to kind of sum it up, what I would do in an apocalypse like that, specifically a zombie apocalypse, but any type of apocalypse where it's me against a bunch of crazed cannibalistic types, I would round up a quick number of supplies, first aid, things like that, throw them in a backpack, something easy to carry, carry my weapon at hand. First off, it would have to be a bludgeoning weapon, a melee weapon of some sort. Like I said, whether that be a hammer or a bat or machete or a huge knife, something that can do the most amount of damage with the least amount of effort. And then I'd set my sights to a stronghold of some sort. I wouldn't want to be out in the open. I'd want something that I can control access to, such as a warehouse or a department store or something of that nature. Nothing with too many glass windows, nothing with too many openings that people can get in and out of easily. That's why Walmart came to mind, because even Targets have way too many glass windows in the front. Walmart has that 2 entrances, and both entrances usually have the steel shutters that you can bring down. And if not a department store, I'd definitely raid a department store for little things I would need, camping gear, dehydrated foods, dried foods, things like that, water, and then head as fast as I could to the nearest warehouse or factory, and take it from there. One thing I definitely want to grab is like a radio of some type, whether it's a handheld CB or a motorized CB, but the handhelds will be better just because you can throw batteries in them when you need them. Also, you want to grab something that doesn't use a lot of batteries, like those rechargeable flashlights, the wind-up flashlights, things like that, because you're not always going to have access to power and stuff. So the less power you need, the better. But definitely a handheld CB radio, send out signals, call for help, things like that, or direct people to you if they need help. So yeah, that's hope that wasn't too all over the place. I was trying to keep it organized, but my thoughts kind of went everywhere. But yeah, that's basically what I would do in an apocalypse of that nature. Okay, thanks.